Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The News Behind the News with Ralph Kintav on Mix 94.7 FM. And this afternoon, I'm very, very pleased to have the person who is here in front of me today. Every time I hear or think of your first name, I'm kind of thrown off because I only know you as Verse. So good afternoon to you, Mr. Darin King Verse Hodge.
Good afternoon. How you doing, my brother?
Great, man. Doing great. And I would like to thank you for accepting the invitation to come on the program because I think that, you've definitely been putting in a lot of work here in Ireland, and that has even exceeded our shores. And, you have an interesting story that I think, many can learn from, can be motivated from, but also touch on some things that in our society as well.
Thank you.
And, with that, I also have to say, I've always looked up to you because I told you at the time when we got the Rotary Award, but I remember when my homeroom teacher, Mr. Cook, took me to PJD2 to do an interview when he was promoting his book, 50 Movers and Shakers. And, it was a great experience being at a radio station for the first time. I was in first farm, and I was like, whoa, I think this is something I want to do. Nice. But then I remember seeing you there, and I remember, just seeing you work and just your continued rise and transformation. And honestly, man, I really do look up to you.
Thank you.
And so for me, it's indeed a pleasure that, that I have now the chance to be at a radio station, speaking to you and whatnot. So there's a lot we can talk about as far as the hits you've produced, being an influencer, digital marketing and stuff. But I know that your story starts in Tongue.
For sure.
So I'm curious about, what was that growing up like?
First of all, before I begin, I must say, thank you for inviting me. And likewise, I am very proud of where you are today, because I'll never forget that time. My first memory of you was at the Telcel breakthrough.
Yes.
When I think at that time you was working
Bull Chance. Yes.
And you came, you was doing your stunt as a comedian.
Yeah.
And it didn't went so well for you there, to be honest. But to see what all you've been able to do and manifest, and how you've been able to grow, and now you're one of the most reputable, journalists out there, and everybody is looking up to you, and they say, yo, he brings the news, no punches hold, clear, concise, honest, and to see where you are, and I can only imagine where else you have to go because you're still relatively young, and I must commend you on that, and I'm very proud of you.
Appreciate
as
that,
well
man.
For that. You know what I mean? And
Thanks,
the award that you received was, well deserved. So congrats on that again.
Appreciate it a whole lot, man.
Yeah, definitely. As they say, you got to give the flowers to those while they're here.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can't do nothing with it after.
That's right.
To be honest.
Yeah.
But, yes, I was born in Tongue, raised in Tongue, like the old Tongue man, Mighty Greg used to say. And it was cool, having the city as your backyard was kind of dope, because every day when everybody had to catch a bus to come to town, I would just walk down the road, and
Correct.
I had everything at my disposal, basically, My best place to be at was always the beach. So you could find me at the pier and swimming in between Holland House and, the whole of Great Bay, basically. And it was a wonderful experience. Back in those days, St. Martin was definitely very different, more community-based island where everybody kind of knew everybody, and you'd be like, hey, that's Lorenzo's son, and so forth. And, spending my days just picking knips, eating sea grapes, and just, as a younger kid, I should say that was the life. Of course, as you enter teenagehood, things begin to change, your hormones begin to kick in, you want to kind of blend in and so forth. And as well, I had a little rough childhood growing up because my father was an alcoholic. So I had a lot of domestic issues going on at home. Police always regularly visiting the home for, disturbances late in the night, early in the morning. And that was very, very, very challenging. And that, of course, made a great impact in my life. And things that you don't even know you carry into adulthood to an extent. So, I struggled with that when I was home. But when I stepped on the streets now, it was like, all right, I had to become a wolf, so to say. And, wasn't the biggest troublemaker, but I know I got into my own
you will
things.
get into trouble, yeah.
Because, and not that nobody pushed me, I wanted to, Again, today, and I have a son, today I go to the schools and I do my little mentorship and inspirational speaking. Today I understand the importance of having a mentor or a strong male figure in your life that would guide you in the
Yep.
right direction.
Yeah.
You know, I understand that today because I didn't have it.
Yeah.
And only by the grace of God is why I escaped so much. And a lot of the things that my friends and my peers did not escape. You know, today a lot of them still locked up. A lot of them still struggling to cope or to adjust to society's norm, or to even fall in place and get a regular quote-unquote job. You know, they don't have the education, or they don't have the patience. They don't know how to even behave properly in a job setting for a lot of them.
And they
you know?
process the emotions and rationale.
Exactly, and the radio station actually saved me as well. You know, the radio station, and I gotta thank Don Hughes, and even when I came over here by Laser, you know, gotta thank Francis, G Money, everybody. The radio station saved me because it gave me a place to go to that I didn't have to go on the block. And funny enough for me, like my home is at the head of town.
Okay.
So around the head of town, for people that don't know who get it twisted, is by Jump Up Casino, the library side, that's the head of town. And I would go to down street, but the radio station is right in the middle.
Yeah, in Midtown.
So when I would stop there, I would work till from 9 till 6, 7 sometimes. Then I'd be sometimes start to get too tired to go down on the block. And I'd be going home back.
Yeah.
You know, so that started to like...
It was a buffer.
Yes, and that started to, you know, bring the change. And then, of course, you're surrounding yourself with different people. You're meeting different calibers of, you know, the politicians, influencers, everybody in there. I know you know, okay, I can't speak like that. You know what I mean? I got to hold it on. You know, and I was always still one of the few, even though I was down in the block and down in my nonsense, I was always like a forward thinker. I was always like, you know, there's certain things I won't do, certain things I do, certain things I want to do, certain things I don't want to do. You know, that was just me.
So you would say maybe it was really just for the thrill of it, but not necessarily a full adoption of a negative lifestyle.
Well, that's all I knew, to be honest. For a great part of it, growing up, I saw my father, you know, smoking weed. You know, I saw guns in the house. You know, so for me, it was like normal.
To that extent, okay. I see what you're saying.
Hearing the way he disrespected my mother, to an extent, I thought like, well, that's how people talk. This is what I get at home all the time.
Yeah, and your first institution of education. Yeah, right.
So even like when I go out, like even going to school, I would be a little quiet, a little reserved in school. You know, in primary school for the most part, kind of quiet. But you know, there would be these little outbursts and these little I wouldn't say tantrums, but like, don't mess with me.
Yeah.
You know, because I have rage inside, but I know how to kind of control myself for the most part. You know, and but I used to love to do badness. You know, to be honest with you, I used to love to do badness. I used to stop the bus in town before I reach home, jump off the bus by Beach Islander, and, you know, go pick up things that don't belong to me, and come home, and my mother asking me where I got that from, and I lie into my mother. So I know, like, from small, like, yo, I was on some nonsense, you know what I mean? But again, look at what I'm going home to.
True.
You know?
Yeah, your environment.
Your environment. You know, and as a kid, like, nobody never caught me. Like, nobody never caught me stealing or caught me, you know, when I started to smoke weed in the beginning. Nobody never caught me, and I just wanted to do it. I always enjoyed the smell of weed. You know, as a kid, I could always remember that vividly, you know. Wow. But after you grow, there comes a time when you know right from wrong. And you start to see, okay, this is definitely not the way. And we all, at the end of the day, we have a choice. Yes, as a kid, your choices are kind of limited by your environment and what you're taught, and this is all you know. Listen, if you tell a child from 1, the sky is red, and nobody else tells him the sky is blue, by the time he's 18, nothing you could say could tell him that the sky is blue.
It will take a whole lot to overhaul his way of thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But, you know, because, again, by the grace of God, you know what I mean, stepping outside and encountering different friends, going by different friends' houses, seeing how their parents reacted, I could count on one hand the amount of friends that had both parents in the house. Everybody else, the father was never around. You know? Yeah. So for me, it was like, well, my father around, but I wish he wasn't around. Because it could save me all that headache and that trouble and that rage and everything and the disrespect. Listen, my father used to tell me I wasn't going to be nothing, but with explicit words on a regular basis. When he say jump, you say how high. You know? The fights, the constant noise. There was even a time around 9, 10, I ran away from home, plotting my suicide. Wow. You know? Because I had enough. I was like, yo, but what? Why me? And then I always question that, like, why do I have to go through this rage, this pain, and these sufferings? And my mother never wanted to, like, uproot me. Because for her, it was like, even though she going through it as well, she didn't want to, like, have to go somewhere and be unstable, house-wise, and everything like that.
Yeah.
You know? which I understood, but at the same time I didn't understand.
Yeah, there is I think they call it a circle of abuse. But and that tends to be part of it, which empowers abusers because they know that typically the dependent is just that, they're dependent on the abuser.
But funny thing enough, my mother paid all the bills.
Wow.
Because my father didn't work since 1980 something. My father hasn't worked, because just it was a lot, and my mother didn't want to. And I used to tell my mother, like, yo, you have a sister in Puerto Rico, let's go Puerto Rico, and you could find, an ex-man or whatever, and build a different life. But she didn't want to. And one thing I gotta say, my father wasn't physically like abusive to my mom or anything like that. A couple of times he tried, but my mom nearly killed him, But and me and him got into physical fights when I got older.
Yeah.
When I gained strength, because up until like 12, 13, I was very quiet. I was like just take my cousins and walk off. But then the rage and my size, I grew up. And when I started to see him eye to eye, I was like, oh, well, I ain't taking this no more.
It's like what they say, two-man crab can't live in the same hole.
And he used to tell me that same thing, So we got into it for all types of stuff. But again, only by the grace of the universe, man. The universe, it works in mysterious ways. And that's why I tell people sometimes, you got to travel through the pain because you don't understand things in the moment. But afterwards, you come out stronger. You come out, with more understanding. And they know you could help and put forward your knowledge and what you've gained. And you can say, all right, this is not the way. This is what I'm going to do. So, like, my relationship with my son is night and day compared to what me and my dad was. You know, I have conversations. We have a real relationship. You know, that's my boy. That's my road dog. You know? Whereas I ain't had that with my father, and I know for a great deal of my life I was missing it. But in the end, when my son was born, I was like, what am I holding on to?
So you reconciled with him?
Well, I could have never. My dad ain't the type to talk to, because I tried at different points, from childhood, even into teenage years, I tried asking him why do you treat me like that? And I just got insulted. So I started to realize, okay, there's something deeper than me, or even than what we see in front of us. I see the alcoholic who's verbally abusive and everything. But then as I got older, started to meditate more and try to understand people and everything of that nature. And on my journey, because my ultimate goal is inspirational speaker, motivational speaker. That is my next chapter for me. And understanding things, I had to take a look at his life to understand his trauma. Because then his trauma turned into what he gave to me. But it's always a backstory. So then when I found out his backstory, his father brought him to St. Martin from Angola at the age of 3. He didn't meet his mother again until he was 16. His father was traveling the islands, how they used to do at that time, working and so forth. Then he ended up going to St. Croix by his dad when he was maybe 17, 18. This whole time, he had no real male father figures in his life. He got into a lot of stuff here in St. Martin and so forth. And then
there were voids in his life.
Nobody. Again, he didn't have a father figure to maybe give him that love and treat him and talk to him in a certain way. And back then it seems like the males was just very aggressive and they put their foot down and you
that's
keep it moving.
Yeah.
What I mean, there was no hey, let me talk, let me try to understand my son or my daughter or whatever. And it was more raising kids off of fear factor almost, when I look at it,
Yeah,
and
indeed.
so when he went to St. Croix around the age of 21, 22, there was an accident at a company named Hess, which was an oil company, and he got badly burned. He spent about 6 months in hospitals,
Wow.
All the way to Houston, Texas, screws in his hands, having to take chlorine baths, and all these. So when I started to understand, he went through a lot, then about a year and a half later after that, he got almost $2 million. And this is in 1971, 72, Around that time, when you do the inflation, everything is over $10 million in today's money.
Wow.
Now, you're talking about a 23-year-old, 24-year-old, rich, never been rich before. He just went buck wild, literally buck wild. Vices. I mean, he tried to open businesses. I mean, he did open businesses. He had Pinto's Hotel. He even, first man to bring a strip club type of environment in St. Croix. He did it all, the cars, the this, the that. Only thing I don't understand, which he didn't do, he didn't buy investment properties in terms of for rental income, and he didn't buy himself first thing a person usually thinks is let me buy a nice house or let me build a house. He was just moving around, staying in a hotel here, staying in a motel over there, sleep by this woman, sleep by that woman, but he got his money and he rolling,
Until it disappeared.
Things start happening, things going left over there, and he was the type that he'd be like, yo, Ralph, let me open a radio station. Okay, cool, look the money, boom, check you later. Ralph checking, but this man don't check me. This man ain't keeping up with the business. Unfortunately, you got few people in this world that'll be like, I can hold it down and I'll always kick back your money to you because you put me in a proper position.
Correct.
The people, most of them was like, yo, things doing bad. I shut down. Boom, you shut down, but then later, a few months later, you open back up, you good now.
Yeah.
You know? And there was constant things that a lot of those type of stories.
Yeah.
He ended up coming back to St. Martin, went to Miami first, bought a huge kind of fishing boat that we used to live on actually until the age of 3. And again, the lifestyle was every weekend my father had a party on the boat. Go Flat Island, go Pinel, go Tintama, whatever, you know what I mean? And just party. And, you know, eventually the money dried up. Then you understand. You could imagine one day you're rich, next day you're broke. You had such a big circle of friends and people that was just harboring around you because of your money.
Yeah.
Next time everything is gone.
Yeah.
You're dried up. Now you happen to just have enough to build a house in the same yard where you grew up. And you turn around and there's nothing left. All that's left, you have your son and you have your wife and the alcohol. And
then the sorrow, the pain, etc.
Trying to drink it away.
Yeah.
Listen, I've seen my father smoke crack, you know.
Wow.
You know, live. You know, I seen it live. So, you know, and you know, thankfully for him, he never like got addicted to that, like how many people do. But the alcohol, like my father used to be drunk for months. Like months, I wouldn't see the sober version of my father. And when I saw the sober version of my father, he was still grumpy. So it was like, there's no wins here. You know, there was no, let me take a walk, son. Let me take you to baseball. I inscribed myself to baseball as like 10-year-old. I just walk because my mother, she saw that I could walk the streets. And, you know, again, St. Martin back in those days, a little different. So I just walked to the Little League, signed up, went back home, said, I need money for gloves and I need money for shoes. And my mother would like, all right, look. And I go and I get everything my own. Basketball, signed up myself. Karate, signed up myself. My parents never showed up to no game, to no functions, no nothing like that outside of graduation, which my mom showed up. Because I wouldn't have my dad show up because I was like, I don't know who's showing up.
Kind of remind me of that Kevin Hart. It was a Kevin Hart joke when I think his dad showed up to one of his games. His dad was drunk and whatnot. So
yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
it is embarrassing. And my dad did show up once in primary school to pick up my report card. And that one I don't remember, but I remember the time he showed up to academy to pick up my report card. And I was like, I didn't even want to go to school.
Yeah.
Because this man showed up drunk. And I tell my mother, but why would you even... I was mad at my mom. Because I was like, why would you even tell this man about my report card? Like, how could you? You know the deal already.
Yeah, and you know, children do bully.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, listen, one thing, I ain't gonna lie. Like, nobody could have bullied me in school. You know what I mean? At all. Like, I wasn't having it. Like, everybody know. You know what I mean? I wasn't having that. I wasn't in that...
lane.
Yeah, I wasn't in that lane at all. I was on the other side. You know, I wasn't doing bullying like that, but I was on the other side, like, you know, you ain't messing with me. But it was just embarrassing because, like, damn, everybody knows seeing who this man is. I used to tell people, some of my friends, when they first started coming to my house, that man is your father? Nope. I'm a stepfather.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was embarrassed. And again, you don't know what, I never knew what version of what I was walking into when I would go home. But all of those things, you know, just helped to build, and only with time I began to have understanding. It's like, you know what, God and the universe have to put me through this test in order for me to come out on the other side, in order for me to have knowledge and experience and, you know, more compassion, more love, more understanding to provide for my son in a totally different way, you know, where, you know, I pick him up every day from school and I'm heavily involved in the soccer and I never miss a game and I'm always there because it kind of was fulfilling for me that I got to do the things that I didn't get. And I don't hold on to it because I look at it and I say, you know what? A lot of us hold on to an invisible bag.
Yeah.
We hold on to things from the past that, but I wish. But you can't wish. You got to live in the moment. This is all we have. All we have is this very, very moment right now. We don't have yesterday and we don't have tomorrow for sure. So live right now. What's done is done, eh? What can I do today? How can I make changes today to move forward and, you know, make sure that that part of history doesn't repeat itself? It's a part of me forever. It's part of me forever, but it doesn't determine who I am today.
It's not, and it's not you.
Definitely not me.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the news behind the news with Raf Kantav. And today I'm joined with King Verse, as he just told us, quite a story about his childhood. And I'm curious about what got you into rapping, you know, and how did that impact your life? And also, what was the rap scene like back in those days?
Yeah. Well, the music thing, to be honest with you, like through school and high school, I didn't ever think of it like this is something I want to do. I used to freestyle a little thing here and there in school, and everybody was like, "Yo, you good," but you couldn't get me on stage, Ralph. Like I wouldn't step on stage. That wasn't me, And I had different at that time. The little rap crews back in those days was like, "Yo, join my crew," and I was like, ain't for me. I ain't going on no stage with nobody. But I credit Miss Van Putten, who used to teach at the time at Academy back in those days. She was the English teacher and history teacher, and she gave us an assignment to do a speech in class. And I credit her with kind of opening the door for me to be, start to feel comfortable in front of a crowd and so forth. And then from there, she did like a little play. I did the play, had to play a drunk, ironically, which, I was like, I could play that part.
Yeah.
Very good. Don't worry, I got you. And of course, everybody enjoyed it in the school, and, I made it kind of funny, but they didn't even know it came from a real place, But after high school, then I started to write more and more. Then my brother was like, yo, but you could, rap. Why you don't rap? So I started to get into it, and one thing led to another. And what I didn't know is that I was lost in the sauce, as they say, because I was trying to rap American-style rap coming from an island,
Yeah.
And when you really think about this, like, what you're doing, you're not representing your own identity to its fullest, to its honesty. And you're just emulating what you see on BET, MTV, because that's what I grew up watching.
Yeah.
And, back in those days, I went to Holland, spent a little time in Holland, came back. And that's when I got kind of I came back because I got into the radio. Because me and Brad, my boy Brad at the time, we had a radio show on Wednesdays. And the trade-off was working in the day at PJD2. That was the trade-off. So one thing led to another. But the scene back then, we created our own scene, basically. We held our own shows. Radios wasn't really playing our music. Granted that we wasn't producing the best quality material either. Because we was ourselves trying to record ourselves. And listen, I still listen to some of the music from back then. I was like, what was I thinking? But all part of the process.
Yes, it led to somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I got to credit guys like Duncan and so forth that, they used to hold on the hip-hop and try to create this community and so forth. Even held awards in kind of sense to motivate you to want to, keep it going, keep it grinding. And then one thing led to another. A few years later, but I've always enjoyed different genres of music. So I used to like my little dancehall. I did a couple of little Latin tunes and so forth. And then fast forward to time, the soca bug hit again because of being in PJD2. Rocking the 1300 and so forth. Had to rock a lot of soca, and that bug started to bite. And then over time, it just I was like, you know what? Again, the next change. When I started to get disenchanted with the hip hop and what it represented. Because it was no longer about the lyrics alone, but I started to see
what it was glamorizing.
And it's like you talking about Louis Belt and this and that. And I'm like, when I really started to listen to it, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This is nonsense.
No, I think now it's at the absolute worst.
Yeah. Because no, it's a lot of just drug addicts. That are singing music. When they talk about perks and lean and all type of stuff, you're like, but what's going on?
Yeah.
And I did not want to be a link in that chain because I was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I this is not the way. This is not the way for me. Plus, I realized that, hey, me coming from an island trying to sing an American twang ain't happening. Ain't happening by a long shot. So, initially, I started to do my island twang. I have like a whole mixtape with the island twang. But again, the soca hit, Getting On Bad release, and it started to take off. And I was like, I like this more anyway because I go and I sing and people feel happy. People jumping up. Everybody has a smile when soca playing. Nobody is vexed. And one thing led to another, and we took that road.
True. You make a good point, because I think it's because of the collective experience. Many rappers who definitely may have experienced what you experienced, or even worse, to the point where it became a normal joke of there being a shooting or a fight at a hip-hop concert, because it's like there's so much negative charge, in that space.
Yeah. And what we don't want is, again, when you do your research and when you start to look deeper into the game, then you understand it's like, oh, they have a plot against us.
Yeah, because it didn't start like that.
No, definitely not. I mean, when you're talking about groups like Public Enemy and, even like what
KRS-One, etc.
what Queen Latifah represented, UNITY, and,
correct.
Calling women queens and so forth, and look at where we are today, where we disrespect women to the highest. Even women disrespect themselves.
Yeah.
Even some of the female rappers, they disrespecting themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, they don't find that this is crazy, and that is what the record labels want.
Yeah.
Hey, let's push this destruction of this kind of people. Let's push it. and let's
And the
push
younger the
vanity.
target group,
They can eat it up. And
Yep.
especially when you're talking about the more impoverished neighborhoods, especially let's look at it on a grand scale, especially in the States. When you got all them impoverished neighborhoods that are predominantly black and they glorifying a certain lifestyle, they want to drive a certain car and so forth, but they're killing each other just to get that. Chances are you're going to end up in jail or dead, and you still ain't in right or wrong in that.
Yep.
You know? You want to be flashing jewelry, you want, like, we praising the wrong things.
Yeah.
You know, and putting the wrong things in our head, in our kids' heads. And, you know, again, I just didn't want to be a part of that, man, because it's crazy. A lot of the major record labels also own prisons.
Yes.
So it's like, hey, you either going to do this or we can send you over here. It's like, you know, it's like, it's a whole system.
Yeah,
you know?
it's, the intention is profit off of chaos, basically,
Yeah.
you could say.
Yeah.
But even as you spoke about that, one thing I'm curious about, where did the verse Tweezy?
Yeah, when it
all that
first
come
started
from?
with Versatile, what happened initially in the very beginning, I had a plan for a group, you know, with a friend of mine. But then I came back and I was like, man, he ain't serious, man. I'll just keep the name Versatile because I like all kind of music, you know. And I you know, growing up, and I was just telling a friend of mine the other night, I love the fact that I grew up in St. Martin. I love the fact that, yes, my mom is Dominican, but I was born here because I was exposed to all genres of music. And I could go anywhere in the world and be so comfortable.
Yeah,
I
vibe.
could dance zouk. I could dance a little Latin music. You know, I could jump up to my soca and I could enjoy the hip-hop and I could enjoy the R&B. Very few places around the world, you know, outside of the Caribbean can say that.
True.
You know, that's why, for me, we have some of the best DJs because they could go anywhere and rock to anything, you know. And, yeah, so he became Versatile. Then, again, with the American influences, I was like, man, I can change it to Versatweezy because they had a Versatile, I think, in Barbados and one in Jamaica. So I was like, I got to be different. So I created a Versatweezy. And then one time, a young lady walks into the studio and she's like, well, you with this Versatweezy? So Americanized with your Americanized nonsense. And she hit me hard. I was like, what? And I was like, damn. So I was like, you know what? Then again, transitioning and you know, looking at yourself and said, what do you represent? You know, and I said, you know what? I'm a king. I'm King Verse. And that's when I ran with that.
Gotcha. Finally, on rap, who would be your top 3 or maybe top 5?
Whew. Yeah, well, definitely, you know, the Tupac.
No, St. Martin.
Oh, St. Martin. Oh, okay, good. St. Martin. Wow. You kind of putting me in that kind of chokehold. Well, top 3 is definite in no particular order, but it's Gilda, my boy Pi, and boy, there's a lot of good little MCs out there, you know. You know who's dope? Torch.
Yeah. Okay.
Torch is dope.
Okay.
Yeah. So I and you know, D-Colors.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he doesn't rap. He does more of a little bit of everything, but D-Colors.
Like a pop. Yeah.
You know, because, you know, we've written together and everything like that, and he's phenomenal. And, yeah, I can't think of another one for now, but
Cool.
I would put those 4 up there for sure.
Okay, cool. All right. My list will be totally different.
I'm intrigued to hear.
Mob.
Yeah.
Phenom.
Uh-huh.
And he don't rap no more. But Twist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Set.
Yeah.
Set.
So-
Yeah, I would have to throw Mob in there for sure.
Yeah.
Because, you know, because he in St. Martin.
No.
So that's why I didn't, you know,
Okay,
didn't
got
pop
you.
into my head. But definitely, because, you know, that's my boy. So,
Yeah. So speaking of rap though, but looking at it in a broader sense, in your view, you know, how can we use art as a resource to further boost and benefit, you know, our young people on St. Martin? Because, you know, if there's one thing I'm sure you heard in your generation or your time, definitely in my time, my younger siblings' time, we keep on hearing the St. Martin has talent.
Yeah, I'm tired of
you
hearing
know,
that.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Tired of hearing that. They have talent, but we don't have the money, or nobody wants to invest the money. Because at the end of the day, that's what it takes. Listen, every time you go to the studio, you know, you got to pay GB bill. Let's go at the bare minimum, you got to pay a GB bill, right? For you to turn on your AC and everything. But it takes money, man. It takes money to help, you know, to fine-tune the craft, number 1, and to promote it. That's number 2. You know, if you want to, you know, take something to a next level, everything all around the video's got to be of a certain quality, but we need the quality directors. And, you know, we have a few here, but if, for example, I can't afford Lunatic or I can't afford Rude Lover, I still need like the little mid-level director that I can afford, or somewhere that I can tap into the resources and somebody to help me, somebody to help us understand the music business, because we lack
I definitely
in
want to touch on that. Go ahead.
we lack on that. We don't have a music business. Everybody out here doing music, doing a song. That's what we're doing. Now of course it has gotten a lot easier because hey, anybody could basically upload their stuff to Spotify and so forth.
SoundCloud, etc.
But here in St. Martin, on the Dutch side, like I'm registered with SACEM. That's a French-based royalty collection agency, like the ASCAP and BMI.
Okay.
But it's difficult here. We don't have an office where we can just walk into and get the information and sign up.
Are you independent or?
I'm independent.
Okay, because I think you were with the label, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, and it's so much that we don't know, and that to me as well kind of takes the love out of the music a little bit for some, because it's like, when you start to get into the business aspect of it, it's like, I just want to sing. I just want, or I just want to do whatever type of art it is, what I mean? Because there's a lot of arts out there, but one thing I got to say, that our government, and for years, it's not even to say this government in particular, because they just continue the trend of what's been going on for decades, is that they've never invested heavily in sports and entertainment. Look at the state of Raul Illich up to now.
Or Melford Hazel.
Up to now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The auditorium still smells the same as it did when I was playing basketball in the 90s and early 2000s. And it's like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? But then you're telling me, but do your best and stay in sports, and but you don't even have a proper facility.
Yeah.
You don't have proper trainers, and the trainers that you do have, they are at a disadvantage because they don't have all the equipment, and it's very hard on them. My son goes to basketball with Omar Babatui, and I got to commend him because he's one of the few coaches that I've seen that he actually tries to get the kids to a next level.
Yeah.
Gets you in prep schools in the States.
And thankfully, he has been to that
because he had to
level.
fight his way.
Yes, correct. Yep.
And I honestly don't know how much help he had gotten and everything, but we need to facilitate these things for our island, because trust me, other islands are doing it for them.
Yeah, and we see it.
Of course we see it.
We definitely see it.
So why? What is our problem? Every year I ask, what do they do with the sports budget? Where does that go? Because I don't see nothing going on with sports. And like my son also does soccer, and that soccer, of course, the bigger soccer organizations from around the world is what helps to contribute to that. And they are more organized. You see all the uniforms.
Yep.
You see how much kids are in soccer. I mean, come on, what's going on with basketball? What's going on with baseball? Now I see the baseball kicking back up.
Yes, thankfully.
Mad and those guys, because they themselves know having to do this.
Investing, yes. You have the Babe Ruth, and then you have the Pelican.
Yeah, the Pelican League.
The two
and again,
leagues,
yes, listen, I don't always say, government has to do it, but government has to do their part.
Yes. Yeah.
And push their part.
Correct.
That's all I'm saying, because again, I don't like to be, government ain't do this. Nah, because we can't be a society of people that just waiting on government to do things. We got to get up and do we thing.
Yeah, because you want it to be beyond only when you succeed. And then everyone want to pick you up at the airport with a flag. Like, it's okay, Yeah, indeed.
But we've missed the boat a lot here. We've missed the boat a lot.
Unfortunately. Because, I mean, a lot of us can sit and think about several persons we went to school with who had insane skills and talents. And it's like, man, if only they had more, So I definitely appreciate what you shared, because with that, now looking at the music business, because I think this is very important. What was it like for you in terms of learning the ropes? Because I do think that whether it's through very strong branding and marketing, of course, maybe a manager or agent might come in handy with this in terms of networking with whether it's stations across the region and so forth. What is it like for you getting out there?
Mm-hmm. Well, I must, shout out my boy Skelet from Red Eye Crew and Melissa, because at one point in time, I was a part of that team, and he helped a lot in that regard based on relationships that he had built and they had built along the way. And, thankfully for me, working in the radio station helped me a lot, because I got to know everybody from every radio station. So at a certain point when I came with the music, it became a lot easier, because like, this is verse, and boom, play it. And, so I got my leg in like that, building relationships. Now, when you step out of St. Martin, let me tell you, it's very challenging out there, because we are Caribbean islands, but every island is very for themselves. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being patriotic and everything. But nobody is as welcoming to strangers as St. Martin. I could tell you that firsthand.
That's a fact.
You know?
That's a fact.
When I went Trinidad, doing my radio runs, it's like, okay, we have an artist here from St. Martin. Yeah. And youth, so they just want to get me out of there quick. And as soon as I gone, they ain't checking back. They ain't running back that song. And I understand. Listen, there's 10,000 artists in Trinidad trying to get their foot in. Where are you going? You know, in a sense. And then the following time when I went, I got a road manager down there, and she was like, yeah, this is the... And it was funny, because one time she would introduce me, this is King Voss from St. Martin. And they'd be like, okay, how you doing? This is King Voss, the power soaker, king of St. Martin. Then the greeting would be a little more, oh, okay, what's up? But it still wasn't, because St. Martin is not known to be a powerhouse within music, period. So it would still be like, oh, I heard of St. Martin, you got a crazy party life. That would be more it, you know?
So we still have a lot of penetration to do.
Oh, definitely. And again, these things can happen when you build relationships.
Yeah.
When you take your music, but we have to fine-tune that sound as well. You know, we have to create that identity as well, you know? And there were times when I performed at a school over there in Trinidad, and had some other artists there. And they was there, you know, they hailed me. They was cool. I didn't say much. But I went to perform. I did my thing, rock the whole place with the kids and everything. Then I came back, and then you saw the energy was different. Yo, you bad, man. Yeah, yo. And it's like, all right, cool. And then you start to build on those relationships.
Yeah.
But again, it takes a great deal, you know?
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess for how I look at it is like, well, being a new kid on the block, guess it's like, don't take it to heart, just perform in that sense. You
Definitely.
know, do what you got to do, and then, you know, we would dominate, frankly, in that sense. Because another thing I'm curious about is your take on looking into copywriting and so forth. You know, like, again, that full scope of music and business.
No, absolutely. I mean, right now we have the Bureau of Intellectual Property.
Yes, intellectual
you can
property.
do it through them as well. Today, actually, you know, it's not like before where like, oh, you gotta send your stuff to the Library of Congress and all that type of stuff. Listen, the minute you upload something, or even when you record it in your computer, it technically, if anybody legally tries to steal your stuff, it's
you
technically
have
you have your proof, right?
Correct.
The more important thing is always to try get how do we get into the publishing? How do we get into the royalty collection?
Yeah.
We definitely, in the Caribbean in general, we in the Stone Age when it comes to that. Because your music will play 1,000 times and you won't get a cent.
Yeah.
You know? And it's very difficult. I know the French side was trying it with SASM and so forth, was trying it because in the States and in Europe, if a song plays in a store, you get your money. Every time your song plays, whoever, every time you play my song on Spotify, you know, I'll get my little cents off of that. You understand? But again, it's like, hey, the island generally doesn't know enough of where this money goes, how do we collect, how do we pay the taxes on it, and so forth. And we need to structure that, you know?
Yeah.
I would say yes. Hey, I mean, somebody be listening to this now. Okay, Voss, you know, well, you don't do it. But at this point in time in my life, I'm on a different trajectory.
Yeah.
I'm on a different mission because, you know, with everything that I've been through, I want to talk to and try to change somebody's life, you know, kids-wise and so forth. Like right now, you know, I don't know if you see that I do the every morning I do the AA.
Yeah.
My little motivational stuff. And I know we're going to branch that off into more 1-minute motivational videos that you see maybe every Monday or Tuesday. Go a little more in depth because we need that. Funny enough that just the other day I did one on, you know, that, you know, men feel like we can't cry or we can't, you know, we can't feel sad. Like every day we got to put on this super shield and be like invincible. And, you know, a guy messaged me and said, yo, thank you so much for that. I needed to hear that because some days I feel like I can't make it and so forth. And I said, nah, if you need to cry, yeah. Sometimes you just got to let it out, to be honest with you. But we are taught and we are conditioned wrong.
Hold it in and tell you almost bust, and then you bust into a negative
thing.
Outburst,
you know And then so, you know, for me right now, the music,
so
I would say take a total backseat, but it's not the main focus because I view life in stages and in phases. I mean, listen, there's so much that I would love to do in this life, and maybe, you know, I won't get to do it all, but hey, I want to experience it all because I wasted a good 20-something years being caught up in streets and in negativity. And now I see the light and I'm like, yo, I can't live my life like that. You know, I got to live my life. I experienced being a radio personality. I experienced being on stage in front of thousands of people. I experienced how it is to travel based off of my music and everything. So I'm like, all right, now let's do something different. When I
Yeah.
go to the schools and I see how the kids respond, and I got letters already from kids and so forth telling me, how they feel and, how they looking to change their life and so forth. And that is more rewarding than anything else at this point,
I hear you. Okay, so a shift from music to
Yeah, because
the
listen,
motivational,
it's a huge
inspirational
world
speaker.
out there. I tell people it's a huge world out there.
Yeah.
Be mindful. Don't you want to see the world? Don't you want to experience different things, different times in your life?
And it's beautiful, especially when
beautiful.
you get to travel. It's beautiful, man.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course, you experience different cultures, different. St. Martin is small, yo. I got
Yeah.
friends, unfortunately, never even been to Pinel. Unfortunately.
I ain't gonna lie, I never been to Pinel myself. And I've
listen, but
been all the way to Russia.
But you
and
jump
not
on a
even
plane,
Pinel.
though.
Yeah.
But you see, and look, you say you've been to Russia. So
Yeah.
how was that experience for you?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good
Russia, I know
overall.
Russia's a little
Yeah.
different.
it was good overall.
Yeah.
But I don't regret the experience. Simple like that, because I still learned a lot.
Yeah.
Still got to do tours and stuff. Share my island, share myself with the group that I was with, and so forth. So yeah.
And that's what life is about.
Yeah.
Like we gotta reach places, man.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And cool, we can go there via like I used to travel with TV because I always loved Discovery Channel.
Mm.
My channels was Food Network, Discovery Channel, and BET. I could have tell you, my TV would have tell you this is what he can watch. And now as an adult, I say, okay, I gotta work, get my money, and I want to visit these places.
Yeah.
And I know that through inspirational speaking, that's the next way that I can reach those places.
For
'Cause
sure.
I will be able to touch people,
For sure.
leave an impact, and still visit a place and have that experience.
Because I think I think really you've just put on another hat in terms of your how versatile you are with this new job title, which is influencer. If you told any of us while we were at school back in the day, like, hey, you can make a career off of making videos and putting it online for random people to see. Like, are you serious?
Yeah,
But
we wouldn't
it's so
have known
common
that.
now, and then
Yeah.
and then again, there will be jobs, there will be rules and stuff that will pop up, and we'll be like, wow, they didn't know that this is possible. So take full reins, take the full advantage of this opportunity, because
Yeah, man.
in doing so, you're also teaching others, inspiring others, to also take that route.
Exactly. I mean, listen, I tell people, one life, nobody ain't come back and say, hey, you get a second round.
Indeed.
So-
But one more thing on the music, I'm curious about your writing experience. What was it like writing so many hits like Pressure, Yap Yap, Soca Jumpy,
Yeah.
etc.? What was that experience like?
Oh, well, for me, the music, I always got once I got the instrumental and the rhythms and the melodies, that would always kind of, help. And because I came from a hip hop background, the writing always been relatively easy. But of course, it gets a little more challenging when you want to become more creative. But it was always a beautiful process. And I actually kind of enjoy that process more so than singing the song at the end of the day. Because it's like, ooh, the melodies, and you just escape.
Gotcha.
You just escape into a whole nother realm,
Gotcha.
And it was always a beautiful process.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take our final break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. You like why? My name is the AC. 1, 2. Welcome back, everyone. You're tuned into the news behind the news with Ralph Kintav, and I'm joined with King Verse. So, basically, as you have expressed, you're getting into the world of speaking, being an inspirational speaker as well. Who are some of the persons you look up to, and what is your process like in developing yourself in this regard? Because I know that, given the guy you are, it ain't like you just pick it up and run with it, but you commit yourself to it. And so, what is that like?
Well, definitely one of my and I had the pleasure of meeting this individual, and the individual I credit most with changing a lot of the ways how I think was Les Brown. And when he was here, I think this was back in 2013 or 2014, and I remember hearing him on Lloyd Richardson's show, and I was like, Les Brown? Yo, and I remember being in my mom's yard, and I was working on a couch, sanding the couch, and I was dirty, and I was like, I don't care, and I ran up the road, and I spoke to him, took pictures, and he's definitely one of the motivational speakers that I look up to. Him, Tony Robbins, those individuals. You got E.T.
E.T., yeah, I love
he's
E.T.
very passionate
Yeah,
in how
yeah.
he does his thing.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't even know. And it's only like when you look back, you see, life does just align you and put you in places, and at the time you don't know, you don't understand, right? So for years now, they've been inviting me to the schools. Hey, speak to the kids. Hey, speak to the kids. And this is maybe over 10 years. And I didn't know at that time. And every time I go, I like enjoy it. And, I just always start with my story because this is who I am.
Yes.
So that's where I take everything from, because my story is one of having to overcome, facing challenges and having to overcome. And that's where I start with my story and my journey. And then, of course, being on stage as an actor, being on stage as a performer has helped, in terms of reading a room and, seeing, okay, this and that. And every time I go, I try to record myself visually, and I play back and I say, okay, watch this, watch that. And then, of course, I study the Les Browns and the Tony Robbins and see, what makes them captivate a crowd.
Yeah.
So since I've been speaking at the academies, both academy, the academic and the PSVE, I've managed to always captivate the crowd. When I see, like, especially PSVE is a different set of kids, and I understand why, because they kind of feel like they're thrown to the wolves.
Correct.
But at the same time, I still managed to rope them in and to have them captivated and to have them coming up to me at the end of the class and speak and say, yo, thank you, and, whatever little comments they have. And I'm just like, yo, we have a lot of work to do here, but I'm enjoying the process. And that's one of the things, like, I keep working on it. Every day I listen to motivational stuff, every single day, because I'll forever be a student, but I can only tell my story.
Yeah.
I will never be Les Brown. I can't be nobody.
Yeah.
And I can't fabricate anything.
Correct.
But I can tell you how I overcame everything I overcame. And I can tell you how lucky I was, because sometimes I would be, let's say I'm at the club, and as soon as I leave the club, the next day I hear about 5 minutes after you leave, they had a shooting. Or 5 minutes after you leave, they had a fight. Or, I just drive off of this area and then they had an accident. And that's when I realized that, okay, the universe is saving and preserving me for something greater. So I have to just follow the road and pay it forward, as they say.
Gotcha. And even as you're doing that, one of the things that stood out to me, which I loved when I saw you posted on Instagram, was Gianni's Adventure.
Yeah.
Which is basically you've brought in your son in the business as well, in terms of doing YouTube videos about life in Ireland. And, I really love it because, you see, for example, we know very well of that little boy who makes millions on YouTube.
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, playing toys, basically, giving his reviews on toys. But, as you spoke about your shift in music, we don't necessarily have to do things that the regular people do, or specifically what Americans do to be successful.
No, exactly.
I love the fact that, I went on his page and this guy got 8,000 views, 2,000 views, 4,000 views within 3 months. Like, so it's like 1 year, it definitely helps with developing him, his personality and so forth. But I love that, you're allowing him to showcase himself, but the island as well through this.
Yeah, because when we actually started this process almost 2 years ago, and I was like, what do I do? And initially he wanted to do the same thing like the Ryan and those, because again he's a kid, so you see it now. I was like, nah, you live on an island, we're gonna do this differently. And there's so much potential. Yeah. To what we can do, because we're starting with these adventures, hiking, snorkeling, and so forth. I mean, there's the Seaside Nature Park, and we still have to do and a lot of stuff, and we're starting to kick it back up this weekend. And it's adventurous. And I told him the other day while driving, because he came back and he said, so and so said that why I don't do video games. I said because video games is played out.
Yeah, because you have so many of the video game
and
reviews.
I told him, and I said, look at this. Let's say in 10 years, Ryan's world, he's going to have to figure out something else to do.
Yes, correct.
Right? Because he's going to be opening toys as a big man.
Yeah.
I said, Gianni's Adventures can go on forever.
Yup.
You don't have to even change the name, because when you hit teenager, now you're going to do some other stuff. When you hit adulthood, now you could travel the entire world and you'll still be on an adventure. And he watched me, he's like, wow. I say, your father don't think for today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like that's like the whole... the whole train of thought on it. But I've always asked him, do you want to do it? Because I don't ever want him to feel like it's me. And I always tell him, and sometimes, listen, he's not easy. He's a little Aries and he ain't easy. And we just get into it as small as he be, because I always have to always still remain the parent. And if you ain't in the mood, you ain't in the vibe, we ain't doing this today. And let me know when you're ready. Then he comes back and he's like, I'm ready. You know, because I could always tell my son has a particular energy that if he feeling it today, he feeling it. If he ain't feeling it, I leave him alone.
You still respect, his feelings.
Of course,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to force anybody. And every time before we do anything, I was like, do you want to do it? Forget about me.
Yeah.
I do what I want. Do you want to do it? He's like, yes. I say, all right, let's go. You know, so everything he's into is because he wants to do it. The soccer, the basketball, he's very busy, very active, but everything is because he wants to do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that definitely means a lot because one thing that stands out is that it definitely helps with leadership skills.
Yeah.
Because as he shared wanting to do the video games because a friend told him or maybe because others do it, here you are molding him into even thinking differently from the norm,
Yeah,
which is significant.
Absolutely. And again, it's a joy being a parent, and it's a joy having someone that I wish that I had. So I'm all that to him. And maybe sometimes he doesn't understand. He's just watching me like, what are you talking about? But we have these, these crazy conversations at times. Because there was a time last year, just after he made 8, he was like, I saw his mood in the car and I could read energy, And I'm like, what's up? He's like, what's the point of this life? And I was like taken aback. I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, every day I got to go to school and then you do all of this and then you die. I'm like, yo.
Wow.
So I'm like, I had to pause for a few moments and I was like, you know what? And then actually he in a sense, helped me create one of the quotes that I have where I say, life is a series of never-ending emotions. Choose the best ones. So I say, life is what it is. It's a cycle. But you do soccer, you like it? Yeah. You do basketball, you like it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You like going to the beach? Yeah. I say focus on the things that you like. Forget about the rest. Let life take its course. But you always make sure that your energy and whatever you want to do is in the right place. Things that make you angry or upset or people that get you upset and angry, you stay away from that. Mm-hmm. And you just live your life. Don't worry about the rest. And I told him, like, if he thinks maybe someday he can be a kid forever. And I'm like, when you hit like academy or wherever you choose to go for high school, you're going to be a different kid. You're not going to be running around. Your
Correct.
focus is going to be on girls and this and that. He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah. So don't worry.
Yeah.
Enjoy everything.
Your moment,
Enjoy
yeah.
the moment. Enjoy going to school. Enjoy your friends. And since then, I've seen that he's taken that route and it's like, what we doing today? Every day is what we doing today. Every day is an adventure for him. So I was like, some days you're going to sit your backside home.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
There has to be balance as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even with this, then, so I see you have 4 episodes out. Will you be launching some new ones soon?
Yeah. Actually, we're recording this weekend because we took the break for December and everything. Things got a little busy there for me in January.
Gotcha.
And I just wanted to make sure, because what I always try to leave in it is a little message about, the island. So, when we spoke about the trails is, he makes it in his own way. So everything I prep him, but I try to get him to create everything in his own way. So a lot of times he just repeats what I say sometimes, but most of the time now too, he's starting to just create his own stuff, his own animation. He says it in his own way. And I told him that's what you need to do. I don't want you to be a copy of me. I want you to be the original you.
Correct. Yeah, that's well said. That's a great lesson indeed. So with that verse, I would like to thank you so much for coming on the program. Is there anything else you would like to share?
Man, thank you very much. And for me, it's just continue your great works. Continued success. Please tell me when the wife and you coming back. I want my Johnny doubles.
No problem.
And I just want to thank gotta thank St. Martin in general because they've always been very supportive of everything that I've done. From my inception, from the hip hop, and people have seen me grow, through this whole process, and I'm very thankful for everybody that gave me an opportunity, from Francis to NG, from Don Hughes, the late Ian Valls, everybody that, because you got to be thankful and realize that people are sometimes put in place to give you that opportunity to help you to get where you got to go.
Correct.
You never do it alone.
Correct.
So I'm very thankful for everybody and, continued success to everyone. And I wish everyone an abundance of love, happiness, and peace.
Great. All right. To our listeners and viewers, that was King Verse on the news behind the news. Do take care and be sure to tune in again tomorrow. Goodbye.